I asked you guys to send me your high school DxD hot takes, and this is part 2 to the last video. So if your take wasn't in the last video, it should be in this one. So let's just go ahead and continue right where we left off. The next one is from Not From Iran, and it says the relevance of Azazel's character makes Azazel him. And yeah, I agree with this one. Like I said earlier, Azazel does so much for the team. This team would be nowhere without Azazel. I don't think y'all understand this. Azazel is the reason these characters are even as strong as they are. He's the reason these characters are surviving half of their fights. He's just that guy. He's that good. The next one says, if Rias had saved Issei instead of letting him die and then reincarnated him, it would have made her a better written character. And I don't necessarily agree with this one, because Rias really isn't even supposed to know that Issei's dying. Like I said in my DxD is a masterpiece video, I'm pretty sure she's supposed to just have the flyers be handed out to people. Issei is one of the potential targets. He picks up a flyer, he summons Rias, and then Rias picks him up and saves him after she sees potential in him. I think that's what they were going for. I can't really remember. I read volume 1 like 4 years ago. So I guess I'll disagree with this one, but not really. And then the third one says, even though TNK messed up, its Juggernaut Drive scene was done way better. And this is just, again, true. We're gonna have to retire this take. This take has been proven as true, and I think this is the only take to show up in every single video. I already explained this earlier, but yeah, I agree with this one. The next one is from Teratoma Skyline, and it says a bloodlusted Issei would wipe the Dragon Ball universe. Again, I'm not a power scaler. I think that's like the quickest way to make you lose interest in a show is through power scaling, and I don't think it even matters. Yeah, I guess I'll disagree with this one. I don't think Issei's really shown anything that makes me believe that he could even beat Goku. The next one is from Lol Vike, and it says the new art style isn't bad, but it's not better than the old one. But I don't think Asya looks like Asya season 4. And I half agree with this one. I agree with the first part that it looks decent, but not better than the old one. I think the new art style is very overrated, and like I said, characters like Cyborg, Roswisa, Irina, even Azazel, I think these characters still look good, and some of them even look better. So I definitely agree with that first one, but I do think Asya still looks like Asya. But overall, I still agree with the first one. And then Irina is underrated, depends in the context we're talking about here. So I guess I'll disagree with this one. I don't think anyone underrates or overrates her. I think she's perfectly rated. Next one is from Inferno Fire, and it says Roswisa is an amazing character, but it feels forced that she is in Issei's harem. She just seems too mature and out of his generation. And this one I also agree with. I also talked about this in my last video, but again, there's no way Roswisa is only 19. I get she skipped through school and everything and became a teacher. She's supposed to be really smart and stuff, but again, not every single girl has to be with Issei, and it would have made a more interesting story, and it would have made us care more about Roswisa, I think, if she was with someone like Azazel. I don't know. So yeah, I definitely agree that it feels forced, and I think that it would have just been better for the story overall if it was just someone else. The next one is from Krino K, and it says fights were pretty mid. Issei versus Volley could have been better had they thrown hands properly and had some techniques used. And I agree with you by saying that most of the fights were mid. That is something that high school DxD lacks, because they kind of just lean on emotion more than they lean on the actual fighting. And I wish they would go more towards fighting, and that's why I like season 4 so much, because they're actually able to do both. So I agree with that part, but I disagree with the part about Issei and Volley. I think if Issei and Volley would have used actual techniques, it wouldn't have made sense at all. I don't think people realize how much stronger Volley is than Issei, especially at that point in the series. In that point in the series, Issei barely trained. Issei barely has any training. Issei can't even go balance breaker by himself. He has to use the thing Azazel gave him. And then add to that, Issei doesn't have any fighting experience. I mean, obviously he's done some training and stuff, but like, we're talking maybe what, 3 months into the series? So Issei trying to use techniques against Volley just wouldn't work, because of how much more advanced Volley is compared to him. So I think the fight Issei versus Volley makes sense. It's probably the most realistic fight we have. So I guess I'll agree with the overarching point, but I disagree with that minor point right there. And then I'm just going to respond to this comment real quick. It says, there is news regarding High School DxD new light novel being released on April 16th. Can you tell me if it's Shin High School DxD Volume 5 light novel. And this one, I don't know. I wouldn't be able to tell you, to be honest. I actually haven't heard about this news. I follow the creator on Twitter, but most of the time he's just posting about something random, so I don't even bother translating the tweet. So I wouldn't be able to give you that reply. The next one is from Indie Enderman, and it says, I thought the anime exclusive stuff from Season 3 was actually good. And this one, I agree a little bit, but mostly disagree. Again, I think the Juggernaut drive scene was good, but I think the way they changed the Loki fight was bad, and I think that the stuff they added at the end was bad. The pacing is off, and it just comes out of nowhere. So I gotta disagree with that one. The next one is from Brennan, and it says, Irina is just an extra character there to make sure all three factions are represented. The whole reason Irina is even there is just so the angels can watch the devils and the fallen angels' backs. So she's basically just there to help them out. She's actually there for a reason. So I'll disagree. The next one is from Quint, and it says Season 1 is kind of meh. They introduced too many characters to properly show them off. Season 1 is beautiful. And I made a whole video, a 30-minute video talking about just how good Season 1 is. The story is nice. The characters are nice. The fights are nice. The moments are nice. Season 1 has the best villains. So saying Season 1 is meh is just wrong. So definitely gotta disagree with this one. The next one is from Senseless, and it says Season 3 had the best character development. Not only for Konoko and Akano, but also for Rias, if the last episode counted. I mean, what character development did Rias get in the last episode? I can't remember. Dude, it's been so long since I've rewatched Season 3, so I'll see later. But I don't remember there being any character development for Rias. I remember her getting a moment, but not really development. Konoko and Akano did get their moments in Season 3. Season 3 does do a pretty good job at it. I think it's a little rushed over, but overall, Season 3 is still there, so I'll agree with this one. The next one is from Caleb Flores, and it says Season 3 is better than Seasons 1 and 2. And that is just wrong. Season 3 really doesn't do anything better than Seasons 1 or 2, besides for maybe character development, like the last one said. Seasons 1 and 2 have better art styles, better animations, better fights, way better villains, better characters. The characters are way more interesting in the first two seasons. Better stories. There's not much Season 3 does better than Seasons 1 and 2. All Season 3 really has over them is that Juggernaut drive scene. So definitely gotta disagree with that one. The next one is from Ian Plays, and it says Theodora's rage moment was the best one. And I'll disagree with this one. You said besides Juggernaut Drive, which I agree is the best one, but I think I like the Issei and Volley one more than this one, but I do like this one a lot too. I mean, this one, you can just pick whichever one, and I think you'll be able to make a case either way. The next one says the Loki fight was better than the Kokobale fight, and I think the fighting part of it is better in the Loki fight, like the hands are better in the Loki fight, but I think I enjoy watching the Kokobale fight more because of the Kiba scene. But at the same time, the Kokobale fight does have the scene where Issei gets eaten, which is also a scene I do like a lot. It's hard to say, they're about the same for me. So I'll say I agree because the actual fighting in the Loki fight is better than the Kokobale fight. And then the next one says Riser before the character switch and Rainier were both more unlikable than Theodora. And I definitely disagree with this one. I mean, especially with Riser. Riser was definitely unlikable, but to compare him to Theodora and Rainier, they're not even in the same plane. Theodora and Rainier are on the top tier of unlikableness. Riser was just overly arrogant. He really wasn't even that much of a bad guy. He wasn't really evil. He was just extremely arrogant because he had never lost a fight before. So I didn't even hate Riser. And then I think Theodora is by far the most unlikable character. He's made to be the most unlikable character. I mean, he literally brainwashes girls into becoming his slaves. Comparing that to Rainier, someone who really just tried killing Issei, and yeah, she did it in a very manipulative way, but it's not even on the same level as what Theodora did. So I definitely disagree with that one. The next one says, I think the old art style would be hated if it started with the new one. And I agree to a certain extent. I think people are going to hate it just because it's something different, but I think you would see a lot less people hating it than you see hating this new art style. Just because I think the old one does just look better. But you would still probably see a lot of people just hating on it just because it's a change and something that they're used to. So I agree with that one. And then this one got added while I was in the middle of editing, and it says, I'm your biggest fan, and thank you for that. The next one is from Slawmere, and it says, my 12 official English light novel of DxD. I don't really know what this means, but you can find all 25 English light novels, plus the Shin High School DxD light novels online. I mean, that's how I read the light novels. But the next take is from Just Some Halo Fan, and it says, Irina being introduced as a childhood friend is poorly executed. And I mean, I wouldn't say it's executed poorly, but I do think it kind of comes out of nowhere. I mean, I guess I can agree with you on that. I definitely think it could have been handled better, and I do kind of like the idea you had going down here. So I guess I'll agree with this one. The next one is from Nialasaurus or Nialasaurus. And it says Season 4 has the best art style. And I disagree with this one. I think Season 4 has a decent art style, but I, again, don't think it's better than the other seasons. But Season 4 art style is definitely overhated, but I'll still disagree with this one. The next one is from King Kai, and it says Rias's development has been pretty lackluster over the series. And I agree with this one. Rias had a lot of potential as a character, and again, in Season 1, she's at a pretty high peak. She's pretty good in Season 1, and it makes you really want to see more from her. But then she never really overcomes that peak. She kind of just falls below it or staggers at a point. So yeah, I definitely agree with this one. The next one is from Rob Glenn, and it says Konako is better before she's revealed as a cat, when she calls out Issei as the creep he is, giving voice to many of us fans in the process. And I disagree with this one, because Konako still does that to Issei, even when she is a cat. Konako didn't just give up on calling Issei a creep and all that. I mean, she still does it. She still hits him, she still does all the old usual stuff. She just kind of does it less often because Issei kind of becomes less perverted as the series continues. So I'll disagree. The next one is from Filthy Sun, and it says Issei ends up stronger than Great Red, and I hope so. The next one is from RCE Kingston, and it says, as much as Issei really is annoying sometimes, he is unironically a fantastic character with one of the best character arcs in the series. I'll agree with this one. I think Issei is one of the most overhated characters in the series. You don't really see this many shows where the fans hate the main character as much as some of these fans hate Issei. It's kind of crazy. I definitely don't think Issei is a bad character at all. I think Issei is like one of the most likable characters ever, especially in the light novel. But I mean, even in the anime, I think Issei is just like perfectly fine. I don't get why people are so bothered by him. So I'll agree with that one. I don't know about calling him a fantastic character, but I'll definitely agree with that one. Next one is from Now D Sparta, and it says, what are your thoughts about the High School DxD and Dragon Ball fanfictions? I don't read fanfictions, because most people don't know how to write. I'm sure there are some really good ones out there, and maybe one day I'll try reading one, but I'm just not a big fan of them. The next one is from Undead, and it says, in terms of the anime, the dub is superior, and also I think Season 3 is the worst, not Season 4. So the first one I agree with, because the dub is just way better at that tone. The dub gets the tone right. It doesn't take itself too seriously, and it's being self-aware at the same time. So I definitely agree with it. And then the second one, Season 3 is the worst season. I guess we'll have to find out later, you know what I'm saying? But yeah, I agree with those. The next one is from Skies, and it says, I got two takes. High School DxD should have limited the number of girls Issei gets in his harem. And I mean, I agree with that one, of course, mainly because it's impossible to actually flesh out every single girl in Issei's harem. So I think it would be better to limit that number so he can actually care about the girls that are joining his harem. So I agree with that one. And then the other one is the sub is a complete bore and it makes it pretty mediocre. I'm going to be honest, I haven't actually watched the whole series subbed, but I might watch it subbed and then make a video about it. But I have seen some clips of the sub and it still seems a little funny, so I guess I'll disagree with this one. The next one is from Cloudy Kai, and it says, you mother flippers. Okay. And it says, you goofballs need to stop fiending for Konako. She looks way too young. And this one I agree with. And again, I don't see the attraction in Konako. I think it's kind of weird. Again, Konako is a good character because of her character, not because of her waifu-ness. So yeah, I agree with that one. The next one is from OG Smoker, and it says Roswaisa isn't a good part of the harem, and I see her relationship with Azazel more than with Issei. And I agree with this one. Again, I've said this before, I think. It just sounds so forced. It seems so forced seeing that she's 19. I just won't believe it. You don't need to force people into the harem. Just put her with Azazel. Please, just put her with Azazel. My boy needs some love. And then the next one is, there is a lack of true villains in the show. Almost every villain in the show ends up friendly with the ORC, or they end up dead. I need them to have like a Madara type villain, like a Thanos type villain, like that villain that shows up one time, but they leave like a mark. So I agree with that one. And then this last one says that Season 4 has the best opening, and I disagree with this one. I think Season 4 is in competition for the worst opening. It's between that one and Season 2 opening 2. This isn't an insult to Season 4's opening. I actually think it is really good, and I like it a lot, but it just doesn't compare to Season 2 opening 1 or Season 3's opening. So I definitely gotta disagree with that one. The next one is from Jaden Dove, and it says Season 4, then Season 1, then Season 2, then Season 3, and wrong. This is all wrong. Season 4 is not the best season. Season 4 has to make up for Season 3's mistakes, which makes Season 4 a little bit sloppy in some ways. But again, you'll see my ranking, so I disagree with that one. The next one is from Brennan, and it says Season 2 Opening 1 is overrated, and Season 2 Opening 2 is better. Terrible take.
Please don't ever say this again. This is probably the worst take I've ever heard today. Come on, we gotta do better than this, people. The reason why people forget Season 2 Opening 2 exists is because Season 2 Opening 1 steals the show. Can we please stop with this trying to be different thing? Completely disagree, and quite frankly, I kind of want to throw tomatoes at you right now. This is a terrible take. The next one is from Dawson. Season 3 is extremely overhated. Zenobia is the most overrated character in the show. Season 3 being overhated, I do agree with. Season 3 really isn't as bad as people make it out to seem, but at the same time, Season 3 changes so much from the light novel that I 100% gets the hate. Like, you would really think Loki was just some bum from watching Season 3. Loki is a beast. It's such a shame, man. It really is. But again, I'll still give them some credit because not all of it was bad. So I agree with that one. And then Zenobia is the most overrated character in the entire show. Doesn't make sense because she isn't overrated by anyone. I mean, find me one person who said something like Zenobia is the best character in the show. No one's ever said that. So saying she's overrated is misusing the word overrated. The next one is from Senseless, and it says, let's be honest, Zenobia and Irina have no motive to be part of Issei's harem. And this is wrong, especially the Zenobia one. So let's see why Zenobia is so attracted to Issei. Zenobia is attracted to Issei kind of for the same reasons why all the other girls are attracted to Issei. Because he actually does stuff for her. Issei went out of his way to ask Michael to let Zenobia pray. I think that was probably the big one that made Zenobia start actually liking him, because at first I think it was more of a game, but once Issei did that thing where he was like, hey, please let them pray, I think that hit Zenobia hard. And then also, even with stuff like giving her Ascalon, Issei gave her a legendary sword that can be used to kill him, stuff like that. Stuff like him just cheering her up when she felt down because she felt like she didn't do anything in the Sona rating game. Issei was just kind of always there for Zenobia. And even in small little moments, like when they're bonding over the whole Asya and Diodora thing, like in the light novel, Issei was going crazy on Diodora, and then they were contemplating whether they should kill him or not. Issei and Zenobia had a little moment there. So Issei and Zenobia doesn't just come out of nowhere. Let's not act like this is just something that's just random. Let's calm down here. And Irina, I do think Irina's is a little more random. I don't really know why she likes Issei at all. So this one I will give you. But Zenobia, I think that's big enough for me to say I disagree with this take overall. The next one is from Badass Productions, and it says, they overdo it with the fan service humor in this show. Not a fan of the breast blasters or the Opie Dragon song breaking Issei out of Juggernaut Drive. Wish the show would take itself more seriously. Love the fan service sometimes, but it can take you off the series. And I agree with this one. The fan service is such an interesting topic because the fan service is kind of needed in the show. Like, if you take it out, then you kind of have to do a whole bunch of stuff differently. And for the most part, I will say the fan service is done pretty well, and it's one of the better series with fan service because it's not just only relying on it. But at the same time, there are times where it's just so overdone, and it's just like, we get it. And yeah, I do think they should take themselves more seriously. I mean, even in the light novel, there was like a boob god talking to Issei. I mean, it's just like little things like that kind of just take you out of it. So yeah, I'll definitely agree with that one. The next one is from Daniel Padaranga, and it basically says, I like the new animation, but I'll never understand why the story is so out of place from where they left it off back in Season 3. So the reason why the story is so out of place from where they left it off in Season 3 is because Season 3 changed the story from the source material, or from the light novel. Season 3 went off script from their light novel, and they started doing things that the creator didn't like. And because of this, the creator dropped the studio that was making Season 3 and that made all those changes and went to a different studio, which is why the art style changed. And he wanted them to get back on track with the light novel. So what ended up happening is they had to make a whole new episode to rewrite what happened in the Juggernaut Drive scene and what happened after it. And then they're trying to follow that instead of them just following what happened in Season 3. So basically they're trying to get back to the light novel canon. So the reason why it's really different is because Season 3 was really different from the light novel, and they're just trying to follow that. The next one is from Frank Ruth, and it says, familiars are the most useless thing ever. They play next to no role in the actual story, and the entire episode about the familiars in Season 1 is a filler episode. So I'm pretty sure the familiars were made as a way to introduce a new way of fighting or something. I don't really know. I haven't seen the familiars in the light novel yet, but I'm pretty sure Asya starts using familiars to fight for her. And I guess they're also used for like the smaller tasks that the team needs.
needs, like they set up the traps in season 1, they were passing out flyers, just small stuff like that. So I wouldn't say they're completely useless. So I guess I'll disagree with that one. There's actually multiple from Frank Ruth. They were just sent separately. So I'll go ahead and get the other ones. But the next one says Gasper is way too OP, and I'll disagree with that one. Gasper really isn't that overpowered. Gasper is really strong and he has a lot of potential, but Gasper still also has a lot of weaknesses. I mean, his biggest weakness is just his eyes, of course. If you attack his eyes, he's done. Also, Gasper can't really defend himself in a one-on-one situation against someone who's just stronger than him. Gasper is an amazing support character, but he still has a lot of ways that you can take him down. So I'll disagree with that one. And then the other one here says the concept of a mutation piece where they're supposed to use up more chess piece slots but they don't is stupid. That means the optimal way of becoming king is to farm human revivals over and over again until you get a whole set of mutation pieces, which would make your chessboard like twice as powerful as everyone else. And this one I'll also disagree with. I think you're overrating how powerful a mutation piece is. So for my understanding, it seems like the strength of pieces depends on the strength of the king. So the stronger the king is, the stronger their pieces will be. That's why you see people like Sir Zex, who has a queen as strong as Graphia. So a mutation piece, I don't know, maybe I'm understanding that wrong. But also the whole thing that you say about why don't they just kill their pieces over and over until they get a mutation piece, I don't really think that makes any sense. I mean, the whole point of the rating game system is to form a team to fight against other people. How are you going to win any rating games if you just kill everybody? You have no chemistry built, you have nothing being built there, and no one's going to want to join the side of the person that kills everybody off if they're too weak. And I mean, that's also gotta be illegal, right? Like, there's no way anyone would get away with that either. I mean, we're talking about murdering other devils. We've seen characters kill other devils and they're seen as terrorists. So just killing people just because they're weak just wouldn't make sense. So yeah, I gotta disagree with that one, with both of those, I guess. And then the last one from Frank Ruth is the fight against Volley in season 2 is the greatest anime scene of all time. It's so phenomenally done. The power-ups are awesome and hilarious. The show is just so self-aware and that's why I love it. And I'm also gonna have to disagree with this one. I do think the fight against Volley was one of the best scenes or best moments, best fights in the series, but I can't call it one of the best anime scenes ever. I won't even mention other shows, but I'll just talk about some DxD scenes that I think are better than this one. I think the Rainier death scene is better. I also think that the Kiba balance breaker scene was better. I like the Juggernaut drive scene more. And I think that's it for now. That's all I can think of from the top of my head. But yeah, I definitely wouldn't say it's the best anime scene.
And then the last take, the very last one, is from Gaming Devil. And it says, I hate Rias as a character and as a waifu. She is the worst waifu. And I disagree with this one too. I mean, what makes someone a bad waifu? How do you become a bad waifu? What does Rias do to be a bad waifu? That's the question I have. And that's the question I will leave you all off on today. And I want you all to think about that question. What does Rias do to be a bad waifu? So I'll just disagree with that one, and I'm getting out of here. Oh my god, I have been in this closet for like 2 hours.
Thank you to everyone who sent a hot take. Again, we had some really good hot takes this time, so I really wanted to get them all into the video. Whether that meant making 2 separate videos, it didn't really matter. I was going to get them all in here. And also, thank you to Baka Sensei, Anbu, Nuz, and Inferno Torch for all buying the membership. And also Ogozu. Again, if you do want to support me, buying the membership would help. The link is in my description, and it'll probably be in the description of this video. And actually, I'm just now realizing Inferno Torch got the 2nd level, the Goat Zazel level, for like $3 a month. That's crazy. You know what, Inferno Torch? To show my thanks, I'll sing a little song for you. This one's for Inferno Torch for buying the Goat Zazel membership. Inferno, Inferno, Inferno Torch. Thank you, Inferno. Thank you, Inferno Torch. But yeah, if you want to support it, the lowest tier is $1 a month. But yeah, next video will be the light novel review, and it should be back on schedule too. But yeah, anyways, I'm gonna get out of here. Again, thank you all for submitting your takes. Thank you, Inferno Torch, Baka Sensei, and Anbu Nuz, and also Ogozu. If you enjoyed the video, please like and subscribe, and thanks for watching.